The following is a presentation of the ForceCenter podcast feed.
From the center of that galaxy and direct from our own galaxy here in Southern California and the world wherever you are right now, this is ForceCenter Presents OtherCenter. I'm Ken Napzok.
I'm Joseph Scrimshaw.
And I'm Jennifer Landa.
This is a special edition of our Life Ranked show where we are going to take a look at our favorite drinks. As I say that title, I realize that could be wide open. This could just be 5 choices of milk, but I do believe it's the drinks we enjoy when we're out and about at bars and celebrating things in the world. We're going to get to all that here in a moment. But before we do that, we're going to remind you, as always, today's podcast is brought to you by Audible. Get a free audiobook download and a 30-day free trial at audibletrial.com/ForceCenter. Over 180,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player. A little bit later, we'll have a ForceCenter recommends an audiobook we think you should try out on us. We also have an ask that's been working pretty nicely when you ask politely, Joseph, you know?
I try to be polite. It'd be fun. Maybe someday we can do like our Bizarro episode where we ask everything very rudely. Hey, that's me being rude. Anyway, yes. So we have been asking, we asked last week and we'll ask again this week. If anybody has not left us a review on iTunes, Apple Podcasts, whatever the app is called in your reality, in your heart, to leave a review specifically discussing OtherCenter. We do have, I was checking this morning and a couple of people did leave very nice reviews, very much appreciated. One person has left a very short, snarky review demanding that we change the name of the podcast because we're not currently talking about Star Wars. Often people are, of course, welcome to their opinion. But also we've explained our not only rationale, but the facts that Jen is a member of SAG-AFTRA, and by the rules of the union, she cannot talk about Star Wars. And sometimes it seems as though maybe people haven't listened to that.
Can't even dress up as a character from a Struck Company, right? That's a new thing. Yeah, It's really serious, guys.
It's real serious, which I think I know it can be hard to understand, but and I don't know if you've got any additional guidance. Apologies for this quick detour in the middle of our ask. How rude. But I understand just for people who are not involved with it in any way, just seeing like don't dress up as Barbie is like, what? Why? But for me, the logic is one of the huge points of leverage that SAG-AFTRA has is if the actors do not go on the Tonight Show and red carpets to advertise films, that's a huge point of leverage. So when you're asking the actors not to promote the films in those big traditional ways, it makes sense as an extension to go like, and also don't do a podcast about the movie, and also don't dress up as the movie. So I understand people kind of reacting weirdly about the Halloween stuff, but to me, it seems like it's a logical extension of this is a point of leverage for the actors because it's one of their values to not advertise the work. Jennifer, do you have any other insight on that? Is the actual member of SAG-AFTRA on our podcast?
Right. No, that's exactly it. I mean, I purposely chose my costume because I was like, well, we may not wrap things up here and get the deal that we want. So let me just go as a Furby. I was going to decorate my house like with a theme of a movie, and I was going to post a video about it. And then I was like, oh, this is, even though it's a DIY, it is promotion of a movie and from a Struck Company. I can't do it. And we've come so far. I'm not going to, give in now over Halloween.
Yeah.
I'll be a Furby.
Yeah. So anyway, the point is, thank you to those who have left positive messages. And if you're enjoying what we're doing with OtherCenter, which we hope to continue in some form or fashion, even once the strike is over, a positive review about what we're doing during these strike times would be very much appreciated.
Yeah, absolutely would. And final point for me on that is just because there's other shows out there with SAG actors doing podcasts and promoting this stuff doesn't mean it's right. So that sometimes gets asked of me as well. Well, their X is doing this. Why aren't you doing that? And there's just a difference. in our point of view at the situation. So we appreciate that. Great ask, Joseph. We love those reviews. Now some life adventures. Dressing up as, it seems like Furby is a state of being right now for you, Jen.
Furby is a life. I was my lifeline. I don't know. I've kind of become obsessed with Furby. I have Furby earrings. I got the most ridiculous looking Furby pin of a Furby face. It looks a little scary.
Now, where did you find that?
On Etsy. I'm finding it all on Etsy. I love Furby. I don't know why. I've become obsessed. And I have the new Furby that I'm sitting on it. It's in a little chest here, and I'm ready to review it soon.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Is there a light at the end of the Furby tunnel, or you're
I'm all in. I'm all in. I don't know. I've not talking about Star Wars has let me start exploring other sides of my fandom, and the Furby fandom is a wonderful community that, I'll be a part of.
This is sort of like, when you maybe leaves high school and they're sort of used to all the things that they like in high school that the other friends like, and you maybe go to a different city for college. You're like, wait, I can experiment. It's like you're experimenting with Furby. I love it.
Yeah. I think it's also because it's kind of creepy and it's kind of cute, and that speaks to my soul. And I like the reaction that people have when I mention Furby or when I wear something with a Furby. It's just like shock and horror.
I can't wait to see you just on the street corner, like handing out Furby pamphlets. I'm like, have you heard about Furby?
Hey. Check out Furby. Those are life adventures. Furby adventures, indeed. Mine is pretty direct, other than just working hard and getting some stuff out there. Some announcements this week of some fun side project stuff I've been working on for a bit. But I got to go to a vampire dinner Saturday night.
Ooh,
nice. One would hope.
Yeah, right. A little nervous. It was a local company. This is something, I guess they launched this company. They want to do this. It's vampire dinner theater. It's a performance of a version of interpretation of Van Helsing's Dracula, and it's done with like dance and aerial and performance, some poetry. But it's all between the courses of the meal, right? And
wow,
it was really good. It was really artistic, and it was really sincere. Like what I just pitched sounds like it could be a bad Vegas show, right? Like we had that big Vegas episode. I talked about going to Bite at the Stratosphere, and that wasn't good. You don't know. We didn't know. It was for our friend Torlin's birthday, Joe Starr's wife, and we went there. It's in a nice little banquet hall. You walk in, the whole thing was turned into like a performance center. And, this could go bad. This could be like, well, we're going to talk about this one way or another for the rest of our lives. And it was spectacular, artistic, moving, a little bit sexy. It was all of it. It was all the emotions and a peach dessert dinner. So for your dinner. So it was great. And it was nice to kind of get out and feel the spooky season vibes, which, as I've talked about before, it's not my favorite season, but man, I kind of, a lot of fangs in mouths and people spinning in the air above your dinner. It was good.
So you said Van Helsing's Dracula. Did you mean Bram Stoker's, like an adaptation of the original story? Or was this Van Helsing's like, I'm going to set the story straight. This is my version of Dracula.
Yep. Van Helsing's Dracula. It was a twist. What's a twist? It was a fun play on the whole story. Yeah. It was
okay. So it was Van Helsing's take.
Yes.
Interesting. I have been absorbing many different versions of the Dracula story this October in particular, so I'm fascinated. I'll ask you some questions off air.
Shows remaining. Maybe you can go study. That'd be awesome. So that was my life adventures. Survived an attack from Dracula. What about you, sir?
I had a nice spooky time that I'd been looking forward to, but it was even better than I expected. People who've been listening for a long time have heard us mention Descanso Gardens. It's a great and a beautiful garden. Garden doesn't even do it justice. You just get to be outside, and there are lots of different kinds of beautiful nature, and you can walk around paths and lakes and that. Anyway, Descanso Gardens, always beautiful. But then they do two seasonal events. They do the Enchanted Forest of Light during the December holiday times. And that's always really cool. And then for several years now, they've done this event called Carved. I think I went first in maybe 2018, maybe 2019. And Carved, it used to be pretty much you walk down a path and there were all these pumpkins, and a lot of them were from, carved from pop culture stuff. And that was cool. And that was great. But it was a little just sort of like you just sort of shuffled along and took photos with everyone else. So they've slowly over the years been expanding Carved. And this year they went wild. It was so good. They expanded the hell out of it. So it was really, it embraced every part of the season. There were parts that were just like, this is just autumn harvest. Here's a bunch of pumpkins that are just pumpkins. But there were some really embracing there's all sorts of candy and all sorts of treats. I had a glow-in-the-dark churro. They were selling non-branded laser swords. So it had a real just like candy and dress up, like for kids. But then they had some exhibits, I guess is the right, or maybe tableaus of creepy gourd creatures that pushed into the actual spookier, and there kept being like clumps of adults, much gothier adults, being like, "Well, that's actually scary. I like that one. It's actually scary. That's good. Did you see that one? That pumpkin's coming out of the grave. That's actually scary." So it was just so great to have a range of everything that this season can be. And my favorite that they've had for years is the gourd house. It's just a little house made out of pumpkins and other gourds. But every year I sit in it and take photos, and other adults are happy. It's one of those places where like you expect to be like, other adults are going to judge me. And other adults are like, nice pose. Can I take a photo? It's really, really nice when something is meant to be a photo op that all the other adults are like, let's trade taking photos and get pose ideas. So, yeah. If you're in the LA area and you like spooky season at all, Carved was amazing.
Oh, I'll have to. I think we might have to. We might miss it this year based on schedule. We went last year, but I'm intrigued by what you're saying of them kind of improving. It was always nice. It's always relaxing, always fun, but I like that a little more oomph.
Yeah.
And I'm a big fan of clumps of adults.
Clumps of spooky adults are the best. It hit a sweet spot as we are in this precarious position that we've been talking about, where we're trying not to talk about the worker-struck companies, because all of the pumpkins used to be so like, it's this character, it's that character. It was really fun, but it was very, very branded. And they still had some of those in not many at all. So it made them even more fun because it was a very slim selection. But then to just have like weird tableaus of pumpkin creatures either being terrified or in terror, it was a reminder of kind of when you strip away some of the IP or the branding stuff that I love and stories that I love, but when you strip that away, sometimes you can get back to something that's like, you decide. You don't know what's going on in this. We don't know if these pumpkins that are surrounding us are like running to the path for help, or they're going to eat us, and we get to make it up in our minds, and that really fired the imagination, which is great.
That's great. Love good fired imagination. A lot of fun. And that might not be the only time Descanso Gardens appears in our conversations today. What I'll say. Good stuff. A lot of fun. Hey, everybody. We are going to dive into our main topic. This is our favorite drinks ranked. And I'll just acknowledge this. We've had a lot of fun at OtherCenter going this direction. Favorite desserts, favorite food, snacks, trips to Vegas, and then also going rather deep. The last few weeks, we've gone deep. And I think the natural reaction sometimes is after you go a little deep, maybe you just want to have a drink at the bar and kind of relax and contemplate and ruminate. Joseph, is that the direction we're going here today?
Yeah, fun. And I think one part of the fun, this has been something I'd wanted to talk about for a while. It's been a little while since we've done a Life Ranked. I think people like these kinds of episodes because, hey, we share some insight, we share some stories, but this really involves everyone who's listening because they get to go, what's my favorite too? So my thought with this was that we were doing drinks of all kind, alcoholic and non, because certainly there are plenty of people who do not enjoy for any number of reasons alcohol, and we always want to be respectful of that. Even though I talk about alcohol constantly, I want to have respect for people who didn't enjoy them. But Ken, did you go all alcohol?
I went all alcohol, yeah, which is actually good because my favorite drinks are pretty simple. It's cranberry, blueberry, pomegranate juice, and that's about it. And Zevia sodas and stuff like that. But it's not as exciting. It's just I'm a boring. I like to drink a lot, but I don't have fancy drinks. So
well, I feel robbed. So we're gonna do a full Zevia episode later.
yeah. There's enough flavors to do it. Yeah.
Jen, how did you interpret the mandate?
I interpreted it. I wanted to be well-rounded. I feel like now that I'm looking at my list, it's a little generic, but I go into specifics, and I'm gonna cover a lot of ground here.
Generic is good on these lists too, because sometimes you try to get like overly like specific and twisty and surprising, and then you hear back from listeners of like, did you guys just forget that orange juice exists?
Yeah,
so
right.
I think having some basics and sharing why we love the basics is great too.
Yeah. As far as like the basic drinks too, I was just thinking as I was like, oh, maybe I can change some answers here. But I don't know about you all, and I don't want to spoil any answers you're about to give, but I go through like weird seasons of obsessions with like one or two drinks. I mentioned that fruit. I just stumbled on, a friend of mine from Texas sent me, shall we say, a vintage drinking glass with robots of a certain space movie on it. And I joked with him. I go, I got to go get some juice. And now I'm re-obsessed with juice. I go through juice phases in my life where I'm like a 70-year-old having, and then I also have like a peach drink I get from this company, Swoon. It's like a little too expensive because it's branded as healthier. I am literally ordering it by the case right now and just going through it like crazy. But that will stop in 3 months. Like I go through these weird seasons of drinks. I don't know if you all do that.
Absolutely. Yes. I fluctuate wildly with orange juice consumption.
Yeah, exactly. Is it one day you look at it and go, no more. No more.
Yeah, well, like I almost always enjoy it when I have it, and then I'll go through a phase where because it's not a part of my daily routine, I'm like, I'm gonna buy this gallon of orange juice, and then like 3 weeks later, I'll be like, what's this murky brown fluid in the back of the fridge? I forgot about the orange juice, and I feel really guilty.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Good. We are all in that together. So even though some of the choices might be all alcohol, that's not a statement on my life. It's just kind of where my mind went. But we're about to do it there. Jen, any final caveats before we begin?
No, I'm ready.
Okay, we're ready. We'll work our way 5-1 here. We'll take a break. No runners up, but other options might pop in. I've already snuck in Swoon Peach Drink. Check it out. Not a sponsor. We shall begin. But Joseph, I believe we should begin with your number 5 to set the tone of what's to come.
Well, my number 5 is a basic. I think a huge amount of humans on the planet Earth drink this, but I wanted to be honest. It is the foundational fluid, not water, but black coffee. I know there are people who don't drink coffee. There are people who drink tea. There are people who just like get up in the morning and don't drug themselves with caffeine in some way. I guess that's a way that people function. Amazing to me. But coffee is one. I think my decision for what to include was about, is there a drink are they drinks that I enjoy actually drinking them, but they have some sort of larger presence in my life or my history or our culture or that kind of thing. And for me, coffee was one of those, it felt faded. My parents were huge coffee drinkers. My dad is still an absolute coffee monster. He measures his coffee intake in pots that he makes. And the last time I visited, he was like, I tried to make the coffee a little weaker because I know maybe you're not used to it. And it was still like being punched in the gut by a coffee bean. By a large person dressed as a coffee bean punches you in the gut. And my dad's like, that's great coffee. So it was always a thing that was going to happen. There were characters on television who made a thing of coffee that meant a lot to me. So I was like, I can't wait until I'm an adult and I get to drink coffee. And then because other drinks that are for adults are, my parents would have frowned upon me drinking them. I think when I was about 16, I was just like, I'm going to start drinking coffee. And my dad was like, great. I did not really help you with other means of becoming an adult, but you're a man now at 16. Start drinking your coffee. And they're just, I like a lot of moody teens. I loved the idea of being out late at a diner and, solving the problems of the world and talking about jazz or whatever. Like, it was so like I'm an adult now. I can write poetry and have feelings. I drink black coffee sometimes at night. And it got me, the coffee absolutely did get me through college. And now it is my morning friend, and I have regulated it down to basically one large cup a day. But it is still like it's a ritual. It's a friend that greets me in the morning. I still have some dregs left. Then there's also like the mug part of it. Of it's not just the fluid; it's the what's your go-to mug, and I rotate through my mugs. It's a friend. It's not just a drink; it's a friend.
It really is. Yeah, the coffee culture, the routine to it. I don't do black coffee. I do the other thing of let me dump half the cream in it. But only because that's part of the fun for me, right? It's like I like that. And I didn't have coffee. My mom loves it. I don't know why I didn't have coffee. I wasn't discouraged from it or anything like that. No health risks, no caffeine, whatever. It's just like I didn't do it. I think I felt intimidated by coffee drinkers. And it wasn't until I got deep into my security career and my former girlfriend at the time, her mom ran the coffee shop at the farmer's market. So I got a free coffee every day. And they made some special ones with some caramel whipped, blah. It was so good. And it just became part of my life. Like you said, it's a friend to meet with and hang with in the morning.
It's a friend. Yeah. And I used to put a little bit of milk in it. But then I just was like, you know what? I want it black, black like my soul. Really enjoying that for the last year. Like, sorry, milk, bye, old friend, get out of here.
Anyway. Do you find this? I have done. I guess I could. Yeah, I've done traveling with you. I have traveled with the Scrimshaws. But for me, one of my favorite things of getting into a new town or a new area was in New York last week. And it's like finding the local coffee shop. And if it ends up being a Starbucks, it's a Starbucks. But I try to go for like, there was a place called Dreamer's Coffee near my hotel this last, and it becomes like it becomes an anchor point. And even though I've been in New York a few times now, several times, quite frankly, it's like I got my coffee shop. That's how I can start my day. And then we can explore from there. I like that.
Yeah, no, it's an adventure every time. It is, it's a disruption because often it's only Starbucks you can find. And I'm not a huge fan of Starbucks. I can deal with it. But, man, if there's a little bit more of a unique dinery place in the hotel, that's great. When we went to London, I was like, okay, this is just going to go wild because that city has a different relationship with coffee. And so I just bought some, you scoop out the jar of like, whatever it is there. I can't remember the name of it. You just scoop it out and it didn't taste great. And yet it did because it was different and fun.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
Jen,
my number 5.
That's a great 5. Jen, do you have a relationship with coffee that
I do. And I'm going to save it because it might be on my list.
Okay. I like to punch Nazis at propaganda shows with coffee. Well, Jen, I'll go to my number 5, then we can go to your number 5, just in case that's on your list. So I'm going to I am going to change. I'm going to call the audible the Landa scrimmage, but it comes out of my number 5 choice. When I was just thinking of alcoholic drinks, I put Mike's Hard Lemonade. Now, let me put a pin in that. I haven't had one in 7 to 8 years, maybe. I was a late drinker, which in terms of alcoholic beverages, which is a totally fine journey. If that's the journey you're on there, no one should pressure you into a drink. But I finally got pressured into drinking and took that path. And I used to house it for my uncle, who was quite the drinker. And he always had Mike's Hard Lemonades in stock in his garage fridge. And I love lemonade. So my number 5 choice is lemonade. I am a sucker for lemonade, and lemonades of any kind. If I go to a restaurant, like I like an iced tea, I try to avoid sodas. But if I look at the menu and you got like a peach lemonade or a razzle dazzle lemonade, I'm going to it. I'm going to lemonade, and I have to watch the intake at home. Like I don't buy jugs of it at home, but I do the little kid grab it with both hands and just guzzle it. Like I love lemonade, always have. So Mike's Hard Lemonade was an extension of that. And that felt like a safe drink. Like all my friends were like, lagers, IPAs. So I was like, oh, I'm pounding Mike's Hard Lemonade, which is nothing but sugar. And I think I hit a certain, I don't know, into your mid 30s range. I wouldn't get them all the time. And eventually I was shamed, like, which is not right. No, don't shame anyone for the drink choices. But I was shamed by a lot of comic friends of mine. I'm like, why did you bring Mike's Hard Lemonade to my barbecue?
Because it tastes good, damn it!
It does taste good.
I really like, and it is funny. Some of the fruits they're getting down to, that Mike is getting down to. I don't know, like a kumquat, and the advertisement be really aggressive. It's like, pound your soul with kumquat. I'm like, what?
Yeah. Yes.
Calm down, Mike.
A cranberry one. I think there was a black cherry one, and that black cherry is one of my all-time favorite flavors. Anyways, yeah. So to end of the story, yeah. Eventually, I was working at a digital media company a while ago. And one of the people there loved Mike's Hard Lemonade. And I hadn't had one in a few years. I was like, oh, great. Yeah, let's get like a 6-pack for that show. And I drank 3 and I almost like died. I almost went into like a coma.
Oh, no.
And I was like, I can't do this. Is horrible stuff. Like, nothing against the company. I'm not saying I just like, this is sugar. This has destroyed my brain. I'm too old for this. It's become a more dangerous drink than the hardest of liquors.
It's like soda or like fast food. If you haven't had it in a while, it's intense. And if your body's not, you got to train up for that.
Yeah.
Yes. But yes, so that. But overall, lemonade, and a fresh squeeze, great, awesome. I don't care if it has the word lemonade on it. I'm in there. I want it.
Were you? Was it like a summer thing for you as a kid? Did you get lemonade in the summer like a treat?
That's a great question. I don't remember when it entered my life. When did you accept lemonade as your drink and savior? I don't remember, because my mom was very protective of everything, as we've discussed on this show. But sugar intake, correctly, I think, was one. And so I didn't have a ton of it. I played soccer, played youth sports for a bit, and lemonade might show up there, but really I think it was Capri Suns and orange slices. I think it was one of those things we've all experienced. If you're out there listening, you experience it too. You move out of your house. I don't care what age. I moved out at 22, late for some, early for some. And the first trip you go to the grocery store and you're like, the world is mine. And I was like, lemonade. God damn it, I want lemonade. And that kind of was where it really kind of began.
Nice. I think this is great. I like lemonade. For me, I keep it as that's not an in-the-house thing, because that's dangerous. I will just rot myself with sugar. And I used to have Mike's Hard Lemonade phase. I was doing a show in a town off of right on Lake Superior, sort of a beautiful arts colony resort town, but people live there too, doing a Shakespeare show. And we went to the bar every night, and I had Mike's Hard Lemonade. And like one of the last nights, I ordered my second Mike's Hard Lemonade, and the bartender was one of those real cool bartenders with cool hair, Ken, that you and I have talked about being intimidated by, because they're kind of too cool for you, and they're like, you shouldn't even be here. And I ordered my Mike's Hard Lemonade, and he's like, all right, but that's your last one. I was like, am I sloppy? Am I falling over drunk from Mike's Hard Lemonade? I was like, excuse me? He's like, no, it's just you've drank a lot of them, and we're out. This is the last one.
Oh, no.
But he phrased it like I was a big problem drunk.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, one day, Joseph, we'll have to go on a Mike's Hard Lemonade bender. We'll do that.
It'll be great. Yeah. A bender of 1.5 each.
Jen, before I pitch your the number 5, I want to get your mom thoughts on lemonade. Is it a staple in the house? Are you correctly keeping sugar from their hands?
Yeah, we don't have any lemonade. I mean, I know they just have no self-control, and I don't either. So it's just, we can't have it. But my 4-year-old will occasionally, she'll find the lemons, and I'll hear her like squeezing them with our lemon squeezer that we have. It's like this handheld thing. Yeah. Oh my gosh. She's like, I'm trying to make lemonade, because they made it at her preschool last year. So now she's determined to make it. And she takes a hold of all of her lemons. And we don't have that many, we don't have a tree or anything like that. So I'm like, where are all her lemons? Oh, Leia squeezed them all. It does pretty good, though. I will admit, she actually made a pretty good lemonade, and that's not even with any sugar. I was quite impressed.
All right.
This is amazing. You have like a lemonade barista in your home.
I know.
Let me know when you start selling it on the front lawn. I'll swing by and
she wanted to, and I was like, no.
I did have a lemon tree at my house in North Detroit that my roommates and I rented, and I thought, oh, what a Shangri-La, right? Like I never made it once. It just it's so much easier to buy it from the store.
It is. It is.
Well, we're off and running here looking at our favorite drinks, alcoholic and beyond. Jen, what's your number 5?
My number 5 is wine. This is a number 5 because I love wine, but I'm not consuming it as much as I used to. I used to be able to have a lot more. Now, maybe 1 to 2 glasses. That'll do me in. So I like a really bold, juicy red, a spicy red, Cabs, Malbecs, Shiraz. I do like a Pinot Noir too. There's like a tightness to it, or a lightness to it that I appreciate. When it comes to whites, I like Pinot Grigio, like Santa Margarita has a great one, or Sauvignon Blanc, like Kim Crawford. Don't like Chardonnays. I don't like anything buttery. When I worked at Bandera, this restaurant in Orange County, we used to do wine tastings. And that was really what introduced me to, there's more than just the $4.99 from Trader Joe's that I was used to drinking. Like they would open up these really expensive bottles because we had, clientele that liked the finer things in life. And I was like, holy crap, it tastes so incredible. There's so much flavor to a really, really good wine. And that's when it can be fun to pair it with, right? With what kind of cheese are you going to pair it with? What kind of, you're going to use fish? You're going to have meat? You're going to have a spicy pasta? Like that's where I think that the wine can be enhanced. And it's not just like, you're drinking to get drunk. You're like, it's part of the experience. It's part of the meal. You know what I mean? And like when we went to Italy, I felt like, wow, this is a life. You're having your Italian wine with a pasta. And my kids were jet lagged and driving me crazy. But boy, I was living it up there.
Absolute Mama's Got Wine lifestyle. Just a really good table wine of wine connoisseurs would never try to talk you up on this wine by itself. But just a great table wine that complements the food is like some of the best wine I've ever had.
Yes, exactly. And I just love that there's a real art and to it, and people get really into it. And I like when people want to educate me and share their delicious wine, which would often happen at Bandera. I mean, people would bring in like these insane, $500, like ridiculous. And that's I think even on the lower end. And they'd be like, here, you can try some after your shift. And oh man, we would all just be so happy. That was freaking awesome. But yeah, wine, number 5.
That is a good one.
That's a big one. I have a positive relationship with wine. I don't know it as well as you do, Jen, or others. And I'm always blown away at not only what you're describing, the taste and flavors. I was at a wedding once, and one of the guys there saw us drinking wine out of I think they give us like non-stemmed glasses. It was the pre-reception welcome dinner. And the guy started doing it can get annoying, but that's the wrong glass. And I'm like, it tastes like grapes. I like it. And then he got like a different glass from the bartender, and he did like a little thing. And I was like, by golly, it did taste different. It opened up for the air, all these weird things. It's fascinating stuff, the science behind it.
Yeah, no, I mean, so many of these drinks, you can be an expert on, and there is, actual chemistry in that. It's always just about, is somebody sharing it with you in a fun way, or is somebody making you the student at a class you did not sign up for, kind of thing.
Look column A, look column B with that particular guy. It started bad, it ended positive. And I have such a late arrival to wine itself. I didn't like it, the taste of it. I don't know. It's because I love fruit juice, so it's like you think this is a no-brainer for me, but then I just was like, I don't know, that's a weird tasting fruit juice. One time, this was years, I think before I met both of you, I was home alone, and I thought, why does everyone just pour like a tiny bit of wine? I got like a pint glass. Filled it up. And talk about comas like that. I didn't. The next day was bad.
No,
that was like 29. Dumb.
Yeah. Now, Ken, am I correct in thinking that Grace turned you on to being a little bit more of a wine drinker?
100%. Yeah. She is a big wine fan, but has unfortunately discovered that it maybe doesn't, sit with her as well as it used to.
Got it.
The unfortunate advancement of time. But yes, I had to, learn the lessons of no. We like cab softs in this house. We don't go for Merlots and no blends. No, so
yeah.
Right.
Yeah. My wife saved me when it came to wine too. For years with the late night comedy show I did with many friends back in Minneapolis. I had come up with the idea of we should have a mascot that's booze because it was a late night naughty show. And there's the jugs of Carlo Rossi wine. I'm talking about the massive glass bottles. And we made Carlo Rossi the mascot of the show. And then as an extension of that, because we worked it into sketches, we would sit around at the after parties and pass a jug of Carlo Rossi wine. And if you've never had Carlo Rossi wine, it's not really wine. It's like grape juice mixed with the sweat of Satan. It's not good. But I drank so much of it that somebody, a fan of the show who had a better job was like, you guys are always drinking that swill. I brought you some nice wine. We're all like, I don't know. This doesn't taste as good as Carlo. It wrecked me. And then when I met my wife, she's a big fan of wine. So she very kindly was like, I know buttery sounds bad, but let me, why would you want butter in fluid? I get it. But she has taught me lots of great things about wine and found a few favorites.
That's lovely. That is, we are going here. We're only at our number 5 choices. We're having a lot of fun. We'll go to our number 4 choices. I'll give us a start here. And this one could easily be a mixed selection, but I got a specific choice. And you had mentioned Descanso Gardens. There, I want to become. It's one of my goals. I'm a member of the LA Zoo, and I want to become a member of Descanso as well, just to be able to go.
It's worth it.
Yeah, totally. I've heard you describe your experiences just going there on a Wednesday,
for an hour. Because you got a membership.
Love that. But one of my favorite things, we try to go every year to the Christmas holiday season kind of light the displays they got there and everything. And I love the spiked apple cider they got there. It's how we always talk about, if I say smokehouse, Joseph, you think Steak Sinatra, right? I think you say Descanso, I think of me just holding a hot thing of apple cider spiked with a whiskey. It's my favorite thing. I do love a hot apple cider. I like cold drinks. I like cold weather. So that kind of is why that's the more general choice. But then walking around, and then we have discovered it's happened more to Grace. She has a little bit of a weird curse with liquids and glasses and containers. It's hilarious how many weird things happen. 2 years in a row now, her hot apple cider, her spiked apple cider has burnt through the bottom of the cup and just exploded at the bottom. So,
are you sure I think it's some sort of power manifesting. That sounds to me like the beginning of a Stephen King novel.
Yeah, she's got some something going on there. Yeah, it's hilarious. The bottom can get a little soggy, and we've had them double it up. Finally, we learned. So we went, I think, twice this last time around. Yeah, and it's hilarious. And so there'd be this thing of and she's I'll guzzle. You put any liquid in my hands, that's the problem. Like wine, boom, I do a shot of it. You're supposed to. Coffee. We go to the coffee shop. I'm done with the coffee before we turn the corner. She has it all day. So I'm always like, drink, hurry up, drink your cider. It's gonna fall. But anyways, the mood is there. It's a mood thing. It's the cold weather that we get here in LA, not the cold weather other experience I get. But it's just fun, and it's tradition. And I think about it, and occasionally we'll. If we have the time, we like driving around and looking at the Christmas lights. There is an independent coffee store in Toluca Lake, Pete's Coffee, that has a great apple cider, not spiked, because I'm driving. And that's just a fun December tradition for me.
Sounds great.
I love it. I had a spiked apple cider at Carved because they amped up the amount of places that it was almost like, hey, you've walked 10 feet. Here's another place if you already slammed your spiked cider. But yeah, really, really great cider, perfect temperature. I think their base whiskey is Jack Daniel's, which has a flavor which pairs beautifully with apple cider. It was unseasonably warm.
Right.
I didn't have a jacket it was Halloween everywhere, and I was drinking a warm apple cider spiked, I was just like, what time is it? What year is it? Who am I? Why am I here? It was great.
That's awesome.
I gotta go. That sounds like so much fun. I won't make it to Carb, but I think I can go to the holidays one. Oof, it sounds really great.
It's really Ken's right. The drink really makes it. I think even if you don't get it spiked, if it's just the warm apple cider, it's so cozy.
Yeah,
done.
And it's either a date spot or a family spot. I think it accommodates both nicely.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
that's great.
I'm going.
There you go. That's my number 4, spiked apple cider or apple cider in general. Jen, your number 4.
My number 4 is something a little bit healthier, a smoothie. Healthier than my last choice, that is. So a smoothie has become a great love of mine in the past recent years, I guess. When I was pregnant with my eldest, that was my craving. Like people talk about their pregnancy cravings. I had to have a smoothie every day. It was a mission. Now I've actually been having smoothies in replacement of my salads that we had talked about on our comfort foods. Just because I've been busy, I've been trying to get stuff done, or if I'm editing or running an errand, I can make a smoothie. And my go-to smoothie, frozen mango, 4th and avocado, spirulina, coconut milk yogurt, because I can't really have dairy, protein powder, almond milk, and a splash of coconut cream. It is creamy. It's green, so it looks healthy. It's a little sweet. You got that coconut flavor, and it's very satisfying. It keeps me full for a few hours. And so I'm able to then like prolong my snacking or my meal or whatever it is. I just love it. And it's great because a smoothie can be a treat for you. Like it could be a snack. It can be a treat after a workout. It can be if you're like out at the beach or somewhere, you can go grab a smoothie and it feels like that it satisfies that sweet tooth craving, but it's a healthier option.
Now, how thick is it?
I like it. So it's pretty thick. But it's the consistency. I've shown it on my stories. The consistency still is like, I don't know how to describe it. It's not so thick that it's like clumpy, but it's not super runny. It's like in between. Okay.
Yeah, because I hear you describing it, and I like almost every ingredient you listed, and that sounds like really healthy, and like it'd save me a lot of time. I can read because I don't have to get my hands dirty eating lunch.
Right, exactly.
But I'm a little I have consistency issues. I'm afraid it'd be like really lumpy and weird. Like this part would suddenly be like all soupy, and then there'd be just a chunk of avocado that attacks me. But I suppose that's up to the skill of the person making it.
Yeah, the avocado actually makes it creamier because I can't add a banana for whatever reason. My body cannot digest bananas. So it replaces, how like bananas can kind of make it like more of a pureed kind of consistency. Yeah. So that's what the avocado does.
Okay.
Otherwise it comes across like kind of icy, and that is no good.
No good.
Right.
No good.
No good.
No good.
I don't like an icy smoothie.
We've used words like clumpy and runny in this conversation today. I love this choice. I think if you're ever sitting around and you go, hey, I'm going to run and get some smoothies, or I'm going to make a smoothie, do you want one? I'm going to answer yes. And then I'll have it, and I'll think to myself, oh, I should replace a meal with one of these, or like a shake, like a protein shaky type of thing. And you put cereal, bananas, blueberries, whatever. And I'm always like, this is great. I found the key to losing weight for myself. I'm going to replace a meal every day. 2 days later, I'm like, well, that takes a lot of time. And I don't do it, but I do like it.
It's so good.
So is it just a blender, Jen, or do you have some like the Smoothie Maker 2000 special thing?
No, but I have noticed that my blender, like I want one of those I used to work at a coffee shop back in the day, and like we had the Frappuccino type of blender where you can stick in the stick and like really like mix it around. But our blender is pretty good. I'm pleased with it. We got it as a wedding present. Thank you, Amy.
Shout out to Amy.
Yeah, my best friend. She gave it to us. It's awesome.
That's awesome.
That's great.
Good stuff. And a good run to a Jamba Juice never hurt you back in the day. But great. Number 4. Joseph, we're up to your number 4.
Well, my number 4 is, maybe it'll be controversial. I don't know. It is a specific beer. My relationship with beer is long and complicated. I've had good times and I've had bad times with beer. And I have lots of friends who are beer aficionados. They do all the apps. They can tell you all the things about, well, there are these 800 different kinds of IPA, and you don't actually dislike IPA. You dislike this kind of IPA, and all that kind of thing. And I've never gone down the road of trying to become a beer expert other than an expert of my own palate. So I'm sure there's some people listening who are like, all right, we're talking beer. And they're going to be like, what have you done, Scrimshaw? This is a terrible beer. But it means a lot to me. It is a beer called Hoegaarden, not Hoegaarden. Oh, yeah. Hoegaarden. Hoegaarden. It is a Belgian wit beer, a white beer. And just the basic profile is, it's a slightly sour taste. It is flavored with orange peel and coriander. So it's got this great spice. The way it's made is this sort of unfiltered way. So it has this sort of cloudy, misty feel. I looked it up on the website. It's 4.9% ABV. It's just, for me, it's absolutely the flavor. I would have loved it if I just happened to have it at a party or whatever. But the quick story behind it is I had an incident with beer where I had a little bit too much. So I was kind of off of beer for a while. Like I had one every once in a while, but it wasn't my go-to drink. And then I went to live with, at the time, my fiance, Sarah, now my wife, Sarah, in London. And I was like, well, I got to get back into beer. I'm in London. So we had a lot of fun trying different beers. And one day we just went for a walk way far from our neighborhood where we normally don't go. And I saw a pub sign that had a picture of the old pulp hero and radio hero, The Shadow, outside. And that was just their advertisement of like, The Shadow has a bar. Like, this is amazing. I got to go in. And they have this beer that I've never seen called Hoegaarden. And, a lot of times in the UK, they serve it to you in the glass that's been designed by the company to best bring out the flavor. So they serve it to me in a Hoegaarden glass. Is this massive glass. And it was just a beautiful, wonderful first encounter with the beer. And I drank it constantly in the UK. And we came home and I was just distraught because there was no Hoegaarden in the US. And then like a month later, an American company somehow got involved. And now it's been available in America for years. And it is my favorite go-to beautiful little comfort beer.
I think I've witnessed you order that before, right? At some point.
Yeah, because I'm happy when I find it, because you don't find it that often in the grand scheme of things, just on a random beer list of a restaurant. And I'm like so relieved when I find it because I'm not a huge IPA fan, and lots of times I go to a restaurant. Like if I want a beer, I just have to order the one that isn't an IPA.
Yeah. I'm not a beer expert, connoisseur, or enjoyer for the most part. When in the right spot, when we were in London at that pub, of course I'm going to have a beer. I just don't know what to order, so I look to others. Get me beer. And then I hang out with people who love Coors Light. So that's the opposite end of the spectrum. There's a lot of,
and God bless it.
God bless it. Yeah, Jen, you pounding Coors Lights at home on a Friday night?
No, my husband loves IPA, so anytime we go out, he gets an IPA. I like ciders, but ciders are a slippery slope because they can either be too sweet, so I like them dry. But yeah, I'll just opt for wine.
Yeah, as is a trend, the over sugar fine of my brain is a problem. There was across from where Collider used to be, they put in a Yard House, and I was like, oh, I love Yard. So we went there, and like they have a pineapple cider. I'm like, I like cider and I like pineapple all together at last. I fell asleep at my desk later that night in the writer's room. Just so there. But it's a great choice, Joseph. We got to have some beer on this list. We would face some sort of scored if we didn't have a beer.
Yes.
Absolutely.
There we go. Well, that's our fifth and fourth choices. We are moving along, but we're going to take a quick break first. And before we do, we are going to have an audio book to recommend for you. I think I got a choice here. I'll say this. I haven't heard this book. I haven't read this book, but it seems intriguing and fits today. So, hey, maybe you want to try the book, A History of the World in 6 Glasses by Tom Standage. Get the audiobook narrated by Sean Runnett today, A History of the World in 6 Glasses. Do that and help support the show in the process by going to audibletrial.com/ForceCenter. Again, that's audibletrial.com/ForceCenter for your free audiobook. All right, quick break. On the other side, get ready to drink some more here on OtherCenter. Welcome back to OtherCenter. We are doing a life-ranked episode about our favorite drinks, and that is what we're doing right now. And checking my notes, Jen, we're at you and our number 3 choices.
Number 3 is a margarita. There,
the glee, the zeal.
Gusto behind that choice, yeah.
Oh man, I love margaritas. There's nothing like a well-made margarita on the rocks with salt. Any true Mexican restaurant will have a good margarita. I can count on that. They're not going to make the drink weak. It's going to taste delicious. So, and here's what I've learned in my experience of margarita drinking. You don't order it from a bar unless that bar has a Latin flair to it. Right. Don't make that mistake. Or if they seem to have a fancy cocktail menu, that means that their bartenders are good, right? And so even then, though, I always ask the server or the bartender, hey, what do you think, right? They'll steer you right. So I love a spicy margarita with the tahini on the rim. Whew. I love a cucumber margarita. Pomegranate margarita, you start to get a little too sweet for me. I like it more spicy than sweet. In terms of tequila, I don't really have a preference. I don't bother, going up to the Patron or anything like that. But the key is the sweet and sour mix, right? Like, because if it's really sugary, then it should be used sparingly. If you're gonna make it homemade, which we used to do at Bandera, oh my gosh, it was like lemons, limes, and then we would put egg whites in it to make it frothy. Oh my gosh. Like I'm getting, my mouth is watering thinking about it. So it's like lemonade. It's like a lemonade with tequila in it. We were just after work, man. Oh my gosh. Oh gosh. Yeah. So that's my number 3 pick. Now I'm thinking about it. This could have been higher, but I love it. I love a margarita.
Clearly by your enthusiasm, it's so great. Yeah. I think I want to check myself because I think this is my perspective coming from the Midwest and not having any of the heritage connected to the drink that I think a lot of people encounter pretty horrific margaritas and judge the drink. Like the Chili's, like here's a bowl of, unnatural sugar stuff with the absolute vilest rail tequila we can possibly find. So you and your friends can get a sugar high and a headache and get drunk and keep ordering these. And even this, somehow they manage to find subpar salt. Like they go out to the road and get it. I don't know. But like I encountered horrors and thought, yeah. And then I can't remember when I'm at an actual nice restaurant the way you're describing, Jen, of like, this is a safe place to get a margarita. And I was like, this is an entirely different drink than what I was told a margarita was.
Yes. Yes. I mean, in Los Angeles, there's, so many different Mexican restaurants that are great. There was a place in Pasadena. If anybody's in Pasadena, go to Amigos. Delicious burritos, and their margaritas were so cheap and huge. And that's it. You order one of those and you're done. And it's just delicious and enjoyable. But I've gone elsewhere and, when it's not a Mexican restaurant, and it's so bad. Yeah. It's so bad.
Yeah. There's this restaurant in Anaheim right by Disneyland that I've gone on about because I was trying to get people to go there during the Star Wars convention. We didn't make it, called Puesto, that we first went to meet some friends who had been at Disneyland, and we happened to be there on Mother's Day, and we sat down there like, hey, it's Mother's Day, free margaritas. All 4 of us were like, that sounds lovely. We are not mothers. And they were like, it doesn't matter. We're just giving margaritas to everybody. And it was so amazing. And it's a really good restaurant. Yeah.
Oh.
Puesto. Oh, my heart pines for it every day. I
wow.
Need to go get back there.
Gotta go there.
I'm a fan of margaritas. I don't have them all the time. I think it's if the table orders them, I'm in. I don't know the ins and outs of them. I just know when they're there, I enjoy them. And I'm such a fan of all the Mexican food restaurants in this town, from the chain restaurants to the ones on the corner that you don't know about until you go. And there's a wide world of them out here in LA. So
very lucky.
Great choice. Well, that's a great choice. Number 3, Joseph. We're up to your number 3. It sounds like margarita could have made the list as well, but what do you got?
No, I'm just excited by Jen's excitement, and then remembering the Puesto margarita make me so happy. I wanted to include tea because tea has been a big part of my life. My girlfriend before Sarah, who I've mentioned a couple of times, that I lived with for several years. She grew up in the UK because her dad was working for the American government over there, and she grew up in Yorkshire part of the UK, and her entire family swore by Yorkshire tea. So I drink that for many, many years instead of coffee. It supplanted coffee for a while. So that tea has been special to me over the years. But I wanted to pick something that's actively in my life now. And it is a specific kind of tea. It is a lemon ginger tea from the Yogi Company. And if you've ever been down the tea aisle of like a grocery store, you see it's all the yellow boxes, and they all like support different things that are good for you. This supports healthy digestion. It tastes really good. The Yogi teas have all the tea bags have the little aphorisms, wise saying, fortunes, and sometimes they're like really helpful and something I needed to hear that day. Sometimes they're kind of condescending and they have the opposite effect. But it's this fun little like, oh man, I'm a little, either my stomach is actually upset or I'm a little agitated and like, oh, you know what I need to just kind of calm down a little bit. Get some nice lemon ginger tea, and then you get the nice little message, and it's almost like when you're a kid and you get some sort of like Cracker Jacks that has like a toy in it. That's the way I feel about the message. Like I get the tea, but then I also get the message that's either going to calm me or be a fun joke I can post on social media. In the whole entire experience of the lemon ginger tea, lemon and ginger are two of my very favorite flavors. It's just so calm and restorative.
I like tea when I have it. I just never seek it out. I don't know why. It's Grace likes a lot of tea. I'm supposed to have a nettle tea, supposed to help with the sinuses. That's been by my acupuncturist, and I just forget to do it. And when I do it, I enjoy it. You got to give me some tips on the habit of the approach to making tea.
Yeah, it's almost like it's not something you just kind of grab and go. I think it's like something you make time for. So I think if you were going to if you're trying to make more time for reading, that if you pair it with something like that, because it is a little ritual of however you heat the water, and then you got to kind of monitor how long you have the bag in, remove the bag. It's a little bit of got this sort of like ritual. Let's change gears into a different mode, and pairing it with something like I'm going to have my nettle tea for my sinuses and read this book about violent world history. For a calm Ken time there.
Yeah. That might be it.
Yeah.
That might be it.
I actually have one. I'm holding in my hand right now, the lemon ginger yogi tea.
Really?
Yes. I love this brand. It smells just, a little gingery, a little lemony. And you're right. There is a ritual to it, especially at night, like just to kind of wind down, to chill out, like you're saying, read. I found that like before, during the pandemic, a lot more wine was being consumed, and I really had to break myself of that habit because I was not feeling good, and it's not good for your body. So I started doing tea for that reason at night, because it's like that ritual of being able to relax, watch a show, and have something warm and comforting. And although now I just have water, but I do enjoy it.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Did you happen to remember what wisdom your tea bag tried to say to you today?
Oh, no. I can open this one up. Let's see, because I'll have it a little bit later. What does it say? It says, give to others and give to yourself the same attention. Ooh.
Yeah.
Drop the mic, Yogi.
Yeah, because that sounds like it's encouraging you to be kind to others and be kind to yourself. But it also has a sort of implication of like, remember, if you flip people off in traffic, you're also flipping yourself off.
So true.
So good.
That is a great choice. A conversation starter number 3, which is what I think tea is. It's a conversation drink as well, but also a drink for you to stare in your own soul for a bit. Which may be why I avoid it sometimes. My number 3 choice is a drink I don't have a lot of anymore because I can't do a ton of whiskey. I like whiskey in general, but there is a particular whiskey that I used to have, and it's not like so fancy. It's not like I was like being smug or having bragging rights, but it was like a gear shift whiskey. You know what I mean? Like you're part of like, oh, you like, try this. It's a Scotch whiskey called Lafroig. And you're familiar with the Lafroig, Joseph, right? And
pretty infamous.
Yes. And it came to my life like this. Quick as I can tell a story. My old roommate and I used to always go to a pub in town locally, Timmy Nolan's pub. It's now Mike McGillicuddy's Irish dance. Its ownership came in and ruined it, or just changed. How about I say that? Not ruined it. But Timmy Nolan's pub was a wonderful spot. A lot of local news people go there. Keanu Reeves will go there all the time. It was just like you'd be in the corner, and I know that guy from some movie. It was just but it was a family vibe. Great stuff. The best rolled tacos I've ever had are at this Irish pub. But one night, my roommate had a problem. He had an allergy to certain kind of fruit juices or something in the. It was this mysterious thing that if you saw happen, it was scary because it looked like he was choking to death, like he'd been poisoned in a game of Clue, and all that he needed was water. And his closest friends, myself included, like knew Lou needs some water. And we've had friends call 911. We're at the Hollywood Improv one night. It started happening. I wasn't there. They called 911 and he was trying to wave him off, but it looks like he's just dying. Like it's scary. So this starts happening one night in the pub. Someone had a shot. He usually is good at checking it, but he took a shot and he would know. And he'd be like, oh God, was there cranberry juice in there? And his throat start closing up. So this starts happening. The entire bar is starting to freak out. And I'm sitting there trying to get everyone's attention, going, no, he just needs water. Can we just get water? And everyone's like, he's dying. It's panic. And there's a guy sitting next to him. We're in the corner of the bar. There's a guy sitting next to him who never moved. He just slowly sipped his drink. And he quietly grabs water and gives it to him. And literally one or two sips, it's like it never happened. And the rest of the bar, everyone's like freaking. And this guy had this, I cannot even doing his accent justice. Maybe Australian, maybe New Zealand, maybe both. I don't know. Some sketch comedy accent. Where yeah, I've been around the world, mate, and I've seen it all. I think I knew what was going. And he starts telling this story. Now, I don't know if it's true or not. He's in Toluca Lake, but he had like, I've been in the jungle and he was with, and then he we're like, thanks, man. And Lou was like, thanks for, and he goes, no, I know exactly what's going on. And if a snake bites you, you can do it. He just was this type of weird dude. And then he goes, here, let me get you some, have you ever had Lafroig? And I had not, I couldn't even, I was like, Lafroig? I can't even, how do I say that? And Lou's like, I haven't really done that. I know it, but I haven't done it. So the guy gets it. And I just remember that night, it smells like Band-Aids. It is described as smoky bacon and dried fruit notes all through this spicy and smoky whiskey. And then I sipped it and, you do the hold it in your mouth 10 seconds, kind of take it. And it was just delightful. So from that night with this weird dude in the corner that may have been a world explorer and adventure. I don't know. Or he was a crew guy from film production. I don't know what he was. It was just this memorable moment of everyone, the whole bar screaming, call 911. And this guy just like, nah, have some Lafroig and water. It was just amazing. So I've always had that, try to have a bottle. It's been a few years. I don't drink whiskey as much. But it was like like I said, let's all do this. And then it would be a test. And Joseph obviously seems to be familiar with it, but just that can you sniff it and still drink it? And
yeah, the internet describes it. It just under. I just Googled it, and under one of the people ask, is Lafroig a good whiskey? And the description that pops up from whatever article says, it's a staple for connoisseurs and a peaty rite of passage. It comes up a lot for I think people who enjoy whiskey, because it is just one of the like, hey, you know what is a absolutely fine experience? If you could eat dirt, but it was delicious fluid somehow at the same time. It's so peaty. That I think that's the reason that people know it a lot, and nice intensity to the Lafroig.
Intense moment, intense drink. Yeah, peaty is a good way to describe. Smells like Band-Aids. It's just the most.
It is so good. That's my favorite part about lots of different sort of really, really high end drinks like this. And Lafroig isn't always super high end, depending on how long it's aged. But like you have that first smell, like this should be a warning, and yet I want it.
Good.
Yep, absolutely. That's our number 3 choices there. We all did that, right? Cool.
That's a great story.
Now we're up to our number 2 choices. And Joseph, we're going to go with your choice.
Well, that is an excellent segue, because I needed to include whiskey of some kind. I've had many, many wonderful relationships with whiskey. I've had just ordering straight Jameson period of my life. Sarah and I had the delight of visiting both Scotland and Ireland, and taking home various bottles and trying various things in a fun, let's just discuss and sip and not have too much. And my wife loves the peaty. How smoky, how dark, how much like earth can it taste? So that's been a fun journey. But we have for many years been on a cocktail kick. This was a really hard choice for me, but I'm going with an old fashioned. It is an absolutely classic cocktail for a reason, but it has lots of versatility because it can be whiskey, bourbon, or rye, all different permutations of the basic flavor profile. You could start fist fights over that statement. Whiskey, bourbon, rye, very different things, but also in the same family. So it's just 3 ingredients, and then it's the simple syrup, basically just sugar, water, and then traditionally Angostura bitters, but bitters of some kind. But part of the reason that I picked old fashioned is it is, all sorts of drinks have different moods attached to them. And some of them are the cultural attachment. Some of them are your own personal experience. Like, Ken, you're never going to sip Lafroig without thinking of, was that guy some exotic world traveler or somebody, who is auditioning for SNL and trying out a character? Yeah. I'll never know. You'll taste that every time, right?
Yeah.
So there's the cultural association, the personal association. And for me, old fashioned is always like, I've never had an old fashioned out on a night where like I'm raging. I've never had too many old fashions. It's always been a sit and sip on a fun, calm evening. To me, it is like drinking a library. The books, the leather, the wood, the mood. It's calm, solid, intriguing. And the thing that we do around our home is make nice, straightforward old fashioned. But we have a bitter for every season because you can get the flavored bitters.
Yeah.
So, on a cold winter night, which there's cold winter nights in Los Angeles, a different kind, but it's there. Adding a little chocolate bitters makes it its own little drink. Summertime, fall time, spooky season time, we add a little bit of cherry bitters. And that's delicious, a cherry old fashioned. And then in kind of spring and summer, when you want things a little bit more light, a little bit more lively, we have orange bitters that we put in the old fashioned. And I love how solid, what a staple it is, and that there's a ton of variety.
Yeah. I love your observation that not a lot, I'm sure it's been done or it's possible, but not a lot of benders on old fashions.
I'm sure people do it, but not me.
Yeah. Because I think the drink calms you down. I think ordering it, getting it, holding it, It is a proper drink in a way. And it slows down.
Mm-hmm.
It really is. Yeah. Like, you know, the children are getting Jägermeister and the old mentor is like, calm down and have an old fashioned.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely.
Have you ever been to Kohl's downtown?
I have. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Have you been to the speakeasy part where you go in the back?
I did. And it was great. And I think I had an old fashioned. I think some weird old fashioned that they made. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. They specialize in their old fashions. That's what made me think of that.
Oh, that's so great.
You're not talking about the clothing and variety store, Kohl's, right?
No.
Yeah, KOHL. They all have a speakeasy in the back. You just
their stock room.
Yeah.
I needed a travel bag, and I got an old fashioned. It would work.
Oh, I wish. That would be amazing.
Jen, sounds like you appreciate old fashioned, so that's a good thing.
Yeah, I can't really drink them. They're so strong. But my husband gets them if we go to Kohl's or that type of place, and
yeah.
I'll have a sip and be like, "Woo, that's good."
Mm-hmm.
But I want a margarita.
Now, JCPenney's does a great rusty nail as well.
Absolutely. Montgomery Ward's back in the day for me. That's a great number two. Kind of, well, I don't want to say it leads into my number two, but it's a similar, it's leagues less classy, but it is, I was trying to think of, especially when I was looking at this list is, you know, what alcoholic drinks do I like? And it's like, what is one that I've like, I am in the mood, I seek it out and get it. And to my knowledge, I can only get it at one spot. I think it goes beyond that. I don't know, actually. I'm looking up online. I love chain restaurants. I love specifically Wood Ranch. The Wood Ranch barbecue in downtown Burbank is my second offer a lot of times. They offer a drink there called the Tennessee Peach. It is 2 ounces of Gentleman Jack. It is 75 ounces of peach schnapps, 1.5 ounces of simple syrup, and 1.5 ounce of lemon juice with mint leaves. And it is it's priced to go like $14. So I don't go. These are also not Bender drinks as well. And sometimes no secret, Mark Ellis and I love hanging out at chain restaurants, but particularly when the mood strikes, we head over to Wood Ranch. And sometimes I always get a text from Mark that says Tennessee Peach ? And like, yes, indeed. And there's just, it has, I don't know. I appreciate cocktails. This weekend I had one that was great at the Vampire Dinner called Death by Blackberries. It was great. I really love what you and Sarah have going on over there, Joseph, with your cocktails and your photos. And Sarah really mixes a great drink. I would love to take that journey. I just don't. I don't know that as much. I haven't taken the dive into that world, but I appreciate them when I have them. And this is just one of those ones. It's just a chain restaurant cocktail. Like it's fit for an airport, but I just love it. And it's refreshing. It's a great summer drink for me, like a 4 p.m. early dinner, Tennessee Peach at my side. I love it.
Now I got dazzled by all the ingredients. What's the base alcohol?
Gentleman Jack.
Yeah. Gentleman Jack. Yeah, that sounds classy.
Yes. Yes. And then you order it in a faux draw off a Tennessee Peach, please. And they're like, yes, highly recommend. If you find your way to a Wood Ranch in Burbank or otherwise, get that Tennessee Peach.
Yeah. What is I don't think I've ever been in a Wood Ranch to my knowledge. What is the aesthetic?
Woodsy.
Brown.
Like a lodge.
Yes, but it doesn't lean into it like, say, a Claim Jumper does.
Right.
Or we have like a Yukon. God, what is it in my hometown? I don't think it's a chain, but there's like it's a chainy kind of restaurant, but you walk in and it's like you're in the Yukon outback and, like you're settling Alaska. It was like Wood Ranch doesn't lean that deep into it, but yeah, it is a ranch of meat.
So good. Yeah. I'm so mad that they closed it at the Grove.
Yes.
Because it was a great spot to take kids, like it's easy to get to. They had a kids menu.
I would go there.
Awesome.
Jen, I would go there 5 times a week during my final year at the farmer's market.
Oh.
Me, the operations manager, and the assistant, her assistant, we just at 5:00, we were at Wood Ranch at that bar. So only time I've been a barfly. It's been great.
Good spot.
Well, I got a new list of place to visit here in Los Angeles.
Hey, it's not quite Smokehouse or Moose and Frank's, but we can go with Ranch and Burbank anytime you want. We'll hit you. We'll hit you for the Tennessee Beach.
That sounds delicious.
That's my number 2. Jen, what is your number 2?
My number 2 is something that is very bad for you. A study came out, although we already knew it, saying that it's toxic and cause all sorts of harm, cancers. It is a Diet Coke. And I love Diet Coke. If I'm going to have any sort of comfort food, like a sandwich, French fries, burrito, I have to have a Diet Coke. Do not offer me water. I will not drink it. I get a little upset if I can't have a Diet Coke, which is so funny because I started off, my mom used to drink Diet Cokes and I thought it was disgusting. When I was younger, I liked 7-Up, Sprite, Dr. Pepper. I never really was into Coke. I used to love Pepsi. Yeah. And then I think in my 20s, the people around me were drinking Diet Cokes. I worked at E, it's people a little bit more like, cause it's like a diet drink, right? So I kind of forced myself to start drinking it and then I liked it. And now I've really had to cut back, because it is really bad for you. My doctor was like, wait, how you drink a Diet Coke every day? But I don't drink a Diet Coke every day anymore. I like it from the can. From the fountain, it can be questionable, right? It can maybe, if they don't have the mix ratio right, it can be a little bit too sweet. I like it really fizzy, certain amount of ice. There's nothing worse than a flat soda. But yeah, Subway has great Diet Cokes from their fountain. But I love a Diet Coke. Is number 2 on my list.
That is, so how does it work in your life now? If it used to be a daily thing, is it a treat?
It's a treat, or like my afternoon snack if I'm going to be bad. Usually before I would have my sandwich for lunch and I'd have a Diet Coke. That stopped, transitioned, right? Smoothies and salads. But now if I'm like in a really bad mood or I don't want to have coffee at 4 o'clock, right? Because that's going to make me too awake. I'll just have a Diet Coke and I might even have some like, chips, like, or those mochi things from Trader Joe's. Yeah, that's when it's bad. Things are going down.
So in theory, if the people you live with were observant, they would like maybe, come into the main room, see you working on something. It's like, oh, she's got a smoothie. Great. And they come in and they see Diet Coke like, oh no. Yeah.
Yeah. My husband and I know. Yes. He does the same thing. It's like, oh, you're having a Diet Coke at 4? Oh boy. Okay. You're on a deadline. What's going on? Yeah. So I should drink more water. Water should be on this list, but it's not. It's a Diet Coke.
Yeah.
Water with lemon is actually one of my favorite things. It's amazing how many times I choose other things than that.
Yep.
Right.
I'm trying to drink 4 glasses a day. I got to get a sign up and mark it off.
You got to get one of them glasses with the 7 a.m., 8 a.m., 9 a.m., those big mugs that every time someone has one, I'm like, how is that possible? It's not possible.
Yeah. But listing water is like, I get it. If somebody has like water with lemon and that's their favorite thing, that's great. But otherwise, including on this list is sort of like, if you're like, what are your top favorite things in life? Like having a heartbeat? I mean, it's like being alive.
Right.
That's a great choice, Jen, because it's not the last time I think we'll mention that there. But I'm with you on that. There's something, I know it's bad, but every once in a while, especially if there's chips and salsa involved, a Diet Coke or a Diet Pepsi. I'm a big Diet Pepsi fan, which sounds like I'm the villain in a sketch, but I love it and I connect it, just that mental soul connection to chips and salsa. I gotta have it.
There you go.
Exactly. There you go.
All right. Well, that is our number 2 choices across the board. We've now reached the number 1 spot of our list. We're doing this live ranked episode about our favorite drinks. And Joseph will go with, no, you know what? I'm going to throw a curveball. I'm going to go because mine, I think, is it's a pretty basic choice, but it flows nicely out of Jen's choice. And I kept thinking, do I go somewhere else? Do I throw a curveball? Do I list Tawaka, which is a liqueur that I have brought to parties? Put some people. I put my friend Paul Duraso, who's like me, not a small guy, cart puller like me from Oklahoma. I brought a Tawaka to a party, and he was doing shots of it. We found him in his underwear under bushes outside the house.
Oh no.
And it wasn't that kind of party. It just was
no.
It was a large party, so there's a lot of people, so you would lose track of Paul was in the kitchen. Where's Paul? No one knows, because it wasn't like two people. It was just Paul was in nothing but his underwear under bushes with an empty bottle of vodka.
Were Paul's pants found?
Yeah. It was all necessary. It was all, yeah.
Oh,
but
no.
it was, I felt responsible for that one there. But so I was like, do I put Tuac or something like that? No, I got to go with my choice, my Captain and Diet. As I've mentioned before, it's a drink that, at times seems to be controversial when you order it from bartenders, as if they're judging me like my Mike's Hard Lemonade. And I very specifically, this is why it connects nicely to you, Jen. It's a Diet Coke thing for me. It's simply a taste thing. I know Captain and Cokes are a rum and Coke, but a Captain Morgan, and not as even the spiced. I'll go with the spiced. I'll do a Sailor Jerry at times. I like a lot of different kind of rums, and I'm trying to expand my rum knowledge, because I got to ditch whiskey now for that. But a Captain and Diet, I love it. I can pound them, and then did I do 7 of them? But then I can still be functional the next day. I don't recommend that. Drink responsibly. And it was after I started drinking a little late in the game. I always joke, my first drink was a strawberry daiquiri. Then I went to rum and a Red Bull and vodkas, because it's the only thing I knew to order. When I was intimidated by the bartenders, like Joseph and I talk about a lot, like the bartenders of the world, I was like, I Red Bull and vodka, which is a bad choice because it could literally explode your heart. And then I moved to rum and Cokes, because I figured, well, that's something. I know James Bond doesn't order it, but he'd consider it. It was how I looked at it at like 27. Like, I didn't know what to order.
Oh yeah, and he has lots of rum in the books.
Yeah, yeah. And so then I mentioned with whiskey and all the time at Timmy Nolan's pub, all that stuff. But I've gone back to it, and it's a safe drink, it's a fun drink, it's relaxing, and it's just I think it pairs nicely with cherry pie or a dinner, garlic cheese toast, whatever. It's always a good staple for me. To the point where it's not quite part of my identity, but I'm going to get it. You might even have thought Ken's going to put that as his number one. But a Captain and Diet. And lately I feel justified that I've even talked to some bartenders. There's a great comic, Ryan Mervish, who's also Merv, as they call him. He's the bartender often at the Comedy Store. And I've had a conversation of like, I get judged for this. And he's just like, Ryan is a 350-pound Viking guy, like he's from the Midwest, and he just is like, why would they judge you? It's like Hagrid's. Why would they judge you? This is a great drink. And just I feel better, and I feel justified that I get to enjoy a beverage of choice.
Mm-hmm.
Now, your friend Mark Ellis is often the kind person who wants to provide for people. So he's often asks people. He often goes to the bar and goes, "I'm going to get people around."
Yeah.
Does he ask you what you want, or does he just get you your drink?
No, he'll always
confirm. He get you this.
Yeah, he'll confirm, but he never seems to remember. He's always like, "What is it, Captain? What?" Or do you like? Because I think the rum doesn't connect. But he's been better at remembering it, because we had an incident. Where what movie did we see? We saw we went to a screening at El Capitan, and then we went across the street to get some dinner, and we ended up at the California Pizza Kitchen, where we went post episode 9. And it was me, him, and our friend Owen. And it was a rookie waitress. God bless her. Not judging her at all. It was literally like her first shift, a younger girl. And I ordered a Captain and Diet, and she paused. And then you got like Captain Morgan rum and a Diet Coke. She goes, okay, Captain Morgan and Diet Coke. Great. She returned with a full glass of Diet Coke and a full glass of Captain Morgan.
Oh, no.
And the type of person, I'm not a hero here, but she put it down. We all three realized at the same time, and I just went, perfect. And she walked off, and then I just mixed it up my own.
Oh my!
Probably a little bit heavier on the rum than normal.
Yeah, a little bit. But since that night, Mark was there. He had a great laugh. So now he fully understands when I say Captain and Diet. He's like, oh yeah, that's right, Captain Morgan and a Diet Coke, but together.
So you sipped them at the same time and did a little mouth mixing.
You know what? I try to think what I did. I think I don't know if I asked for another glass, and I just kind of poured them in over the course of the evening. And I wasn't going to be even politely. I guess it could have been like, oh, but I meant them together. But I didn't want to embarrass her at any level. She did return 40 minutes in the meal, she goes, you meant together, huh?
Oh, no.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. Okay.
Oh, that's good. Awesome.
That is my number one choice. Captain in Diet. Yes, Jen, I've seen Diet Coke clean car batteries, but yet I still pour it into my drink. Yeah. And I'm okay with it. Jen, what is your number one?
My number one is coffee.
Yay.
Yeah. I once wrote a poem about coffee years ago. Like,
please,
for no reason other than I was like, coffee is the greatest thing in the world. I feel compelled to write a poem like someone would write for their loved one. Coffee makes me a better human, a kinder human, a more efficient and energetic human. Coffee is the first thing I have in the morning. It is my ritual. Even we went camping this past weekend. I forgot to mention. We went camping. We had coffee. We had to have it. My husband brought a little stove that we cooked our coffee on. I can always count on coffee, like you were mentioning, Joseph. Like it puts me in a better mood. I know that wherever I am, I can get it, right? Like part of the fun when you're traveling is like you're saying, figuring out what coffee shop to go to. It's a little bit harder with kids now because I need it right away. I don't even taking the time to like get dressed and go out the door. Like we have to have something in the hotel room and then we go get our coffee out in the world.
I understand.
You know what I mean? Right?
Yeah.
It's like, I need that to wake up. I don't like Starbucks. I have always been more of a coffee bean person. Yeah. Pete's is very, very aggressive, very bold. I'm not always so sure about that. My first job was working at a coffee shop in the mall. So that's kind of what introduced me to like, the different types of beans. And I OD'd on Frappuccinos and got that out of my system. So yeah, now I just drink regular coffee. I might get a latte if I'm out and about, but yeah, I just like it straight coffee with my silk almond creamer.
What is your go-to home brand right now?
We usually buy it from Costco because we go through so much of it. So it's anything like a Colombian, a medium roast,
okay,
or even a darker roast, but definitely not light. Definitely not light.
And do you buy it ground or do you grind the beans?
We grind the beans. Beans.
Wow.
Yeah, to make sure it's nice and fresh.
Yeah. God bless you. We have a grinder, and I'm like, this adds an hour to my life. I can't do this. Can't do this.
We used to have it where we would like, I don't know what you would call it, but we would pour the coffee on top, on top of the grounds, and it would drip down. We had drip down coffee. That took forever. After we had kids, we're like, we don't have time for the drip down. Yeah. The intelligentsia, their fancy drip.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's good. That's good stuff.
I love all this. Yeah, I love coffee. I have one today. We got an espresso. That was a gift we got a couple years ago, and that is just a godsend. You just put a pod in, and you recycle the pods. I'll point out, you send them back to the company. It's great. It's great. But we do make some of our own. But yeah, Jen, I was asking you about coffee culture. This is I mentioned earlier, but yeah, Grace is a big fan of coffee, and what she describes as coffee culture and the sipping, and where I literally guzzle it. She's like, you're ruining the experience. You're ruining coffee. I guess I'm like a truck stop coffee culturist. Is it an all day thing for you? Do you let it linger?
I do. I'll usually stop around right around now when I would make a smoothie for myself. But you're right. Like I was remembering when I was a teenager and, we would go to the coffee shop and you felt so cool and so adult, it's that like kind of the air around the coffee people. But now I love coffee from 7-Eleven. If you're on, a road trip, the coffee is coffee. And, it can be even a bad coffee still can be kind of relaxing. I don't know. Yeah. I'm addicted.
Yeah. No, it became a big staple for me after, the story I told earlier of my girlfriend at the time, her mom ran the coffee shop. She worked there. My girlfriend worked. That's how we met. And so that became a thing, right? It's kind of like Joseph in your tea. Like that coffee cup's in your hand and walking around the mall. When when your day is spent in a mall and you get coffee, like you're walking around, it's not even what's in the cup after a while. It's like, I know I need this little styrofoam or paper cup in my hand to walk around.
Exactly.
Yeah. No,
Exactly.
when I worked at Kinko's in downtown Minneapolis, one of my friends I worked with, sweetheart, had noticed that I stopped at the same place as she did to get coffee, but I was always running 5 minutes late. So she just started buying the coffee, and then I would reimburse her. So it was this beautiful ritual of it would just be sitting there by the photocopier when I got there. And it was like salvation. And then on Fridays, they had cinnamon coffee, and she noticed I got that. So cinnamon coffee, very, very lovely ritual. Coffee is such a ritual.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Well, that is a great, big number one choice, a staple in so many lives, in great ways. And all right, maybe bad ways. All right, but we got coffee when we can. There's little in life to enjoy. That's one of it. Exactly. Joseph, close us out with your number one choice for your favorite drink.
My number one choice is also something that I like to have in the mornings, and it's a martini. No, I'm joking. I didn't have it in the morning. But not joking about the martini. I'm sure people who listen regularly are not surprised by that, but the goal of this isn't shock. It's truth. I absolutely love martinis. I came to them late in life. Or I guess later compared to a lot of these other drinks. To me, they are just like the T-Rex of cocktails. It is the drink, but it is the history. It's the iconography. Talked a little bit on the podcast about how when we were in London for a celebration this past year, I had some ups and downs where I had some great martinis from some classic bars, some of the best martinis I've ever had. And then some bars that just like didn't know what a martini was. They had gin vodka in vermouth, but they didn't have a button on their iPad for it, so I couldn't have it. And these bars that would look at me like, what's a martini? Why do you want me to put gin and vermouth together? The logo of their bar 2 times was a martini glass. And they were like, we don't know. The iconography of it is so powerful that it can be the symbol of a place that claims to deny its existence. It is just, for me, I think it was, growing up, it's one of those things of you kind of know when you're 5 years old, you don't know what it is, but you hear it and you see it on television or in the world or in advertisements, that it's this symbol of being an adult. And then I became a big fan of James Bond, not just the movies, but reading the books at a young age and having that association that it's like he's this sort of ultimate classy adult, and it's his ultimate go-to drink. But I think I started drinking later, as you did, Ken, and I had beer and Mike's Hard Lemonade and terrible jugs of awful wine. And I was a little like, I don't know cocktails. People will make fun of me. They'll be too strong. I'll make a fool of myself. So I was always just like, a martini is this sort of a unattainable level of adulthood and class that I'll never quite reach.
Yeah.
And then I started having, whiskey and scotch, and it was like, okay, I really like that. And I was a little bit more open to it, but it never occurred to me to just say, this is the day. And I did a show with my friend Bill Corbett that went really, really well. And Kevin Murphy, who I'm also lucky to call a friend, who people know from Roof Tracks Mr. Science Theater. If you're a fan, Kevin's a great guy and a boisterous, supportive human being. And we did the show, it went well, and we were at the bar, and Kevin came up to us and was like, that was a great show. So you're having a martini. And I wasn't going to say no to him. And it was just like a revelation of like, oh, wow, this is, it's not like one sip and I'm under the table. I mean, it is all alcohol and you do have to be careful with them. But it wasn't this sort of like, I can't handle this. This is beyond me. It was just clean, crisp, cool, elegant, delightful taste. I am a fan of the twist, which brings out different things because it's sharp and fruity and all these great things. And since then, it has just become my go-to drink. My wife makes wonderful martinis at home. It is fun to get them out in the world with different people. And I at this point, it's a fun thing for me to walk into an establishment and first just scan, is it a full bar and not just beer and wine? And even if it is, just based on the mood, the atmosphere, the smell,
right?
Is this a place where I'm going to be able to get a martini? And oftentimes the answer is no. And sometimes the answer is yes, but it bears little resemblance to a martini because people just be like, yeah, sure. I think we got something that's like vermouth. I don't know. How much vermouth you put in a martini is one of the various things that people debate about. There is an idea that the vermouth should just be literally washed in the glass. Like you pour a little bit of vermouth, you swish around the glass, and then you dump it out. So it's really literally just like almost the remnants, the smell of vermouth. And then at that point, you are just drinking an extremely large shot of just gin. And some people say that's a martini. For me, you got to have some vermouth. Anyway, I will end the love letter. I'm going to write a poem to martinis. Love your poem story, Jennifer. What's really great about them is it is an extremely simple drink. In general, it's gin and vermouth or vodka and vermouth. More complicated history in that, but that's the general accepted definition. But there's an endless variety of combinations by trying different gins, different vodkas, different vermouths. I think some people would say the famous Bond drink, the Vesper, is a different drink. I think it's in the martini family. And if you accept that, then martinis become this really interesting. What little changes can you make? Dry vermouth and sweet vermouth mixed, and all. It's just kind of it's incredibly simple and endlessly complex. And the final thing I'll say is, I knew I was being just silly. I liked that my wife likes making things for me is a tradition. There are things I do for her that she likes, so it's not just like I like to serve my husband. We like to do things for one another. So she really liked that. It's like I make martinis for him. But then she got to a point of like, this isn't a wife only drink. This is the simplest drink on the face of the earth to make. And it can, if you haven't made it, all the which device do you use, shake and stirred, blah, 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 all that. I wrote it down. It was September 9th, 2023. We had, in fact, been to Descanso Gardens in a bookstore, and it had just been a lovely day. And I just came home and just like, today's the day, wife. I would like to make the martinis. And so she walked me through how she did it. And since September 9th, I've been experimenting and making her different kinds of drinks to repay the years of debt of her making martinis. And now I feel like a mad scientist who gets to experiment with my own favorite drink.
I still want the both of you to put out some sort of drink book.
Yeah.
I think would be a big win. No, this is wonderful. You describing this drink, it's a perfect way to end it. It's also just encompasses a lot of my feelings towards drinks and maybe myself, where I'm like, I just don't think I've attained this level of adulthood to deserve the martini, to enjoy it. It is a simple and direct meal. It's steeped in pop culture and culture. And I think I want to learn to appreciate it a little bit more. I love it. We were trying not to talk about movies, but when Daniel Craig orders it for the first time in that one particular movie, it's one of my favorite scenes. And Jeffrey Wright, I'll just say, keep the fruit. I just love that sequence. Love it.
It's so good, and it truly is a great drink, the Vesper.
Awesome. Jen, you're an adult. You like martinis?
I used to like martinis. I used to enjoy them. Every now and again, I'll order like a dirty martini. I like the olives. I love it when they're like blue cheese stuffed olives. That's always fun. Wow. Yeah. But,
yeah, that's a meal.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Oh man, when we used to go to the ArcLight in Hollywood, I might get one of those. I know, right? Oh,
my heart breaks.
That was a good time.
Anyways, we'll get there again somehow.
Yeah,
someone will be there.
I'll break in. Yeah,
there you go. Well, that is it. That is a long discussion, as it should be, because there's a lot of stories behind these choices, and it was great to go down this path. So we're about to wrap up, but hey, out there, if you're listening and we know you got some ideas, don't fight our ideas. All right. Don't tell us what's wrong about the Captain Diet. Tell us what's great about your choice of drink. And do you like the cranberry Mike's Hard Lemonades? That's the big question of the day. You could do so by finding us in a lot of different spots. We're on Twitter at ForceCenter Pod. We're on Threads for What's That's Worth. Hey, we're on Hive Social for what that is worth. Facebook page is ForceCenter Podcast. Instagram and YouTube as well. Don't forget, this coming Friday, we have a live show, 2 p.m. Pacific, questions of another variety. It's going to be a lot of fun hanging out with you all for about 90 minutes. Get ready for that by subscribing to our YouTube channel. Podcast available on a lot of different spots. Just search or find us. Merch available at tpublic.com/user/ForceCenter, and patreon.com/ForceCenter is where you can support us directly. For personal plugs, follow me at Ken Napzok and KenNapzok.com. I will... I got two things. I released my comedy album last week. Thank you to those who have listened to it or purchased a special edition on Bandcamp, and announced by the time this episode comes up, I will have first put the first official post out. I've got music on the way. Wrote some songs with two guys under the name of the Moon Agers. So Brian Tiller and Sean Arnold have helped me live my dreams of co-writing some songs. And we got some music coming November 3rd. Our first track will see the light of day, and a 7-song EP on the way after that. So go to my website, go to my socials for all the information. Jen, where can they find and follow you?
You can find and follow me on TikTok at Jennifer Landa 1138, YouTube and Instagram at Jennifer Landa, where I have posted my deep dive into the history of the Furby, the fear around the Furby, and even how it might connect to AI and our love for chatbots.
Wow.
Some people's loves for chatbots.
Yeah. I like that one, the Furby that people thought he was swearing. It was
right? I had to listen to that a couple times. I'm like, that sure sounds like what it was being accused of. Yeah.
Great stuff, Joseph, on the drinks today, leading us through this charge. Where can they find you and all your wonderful work?
Yeah, you can find me on all the social media at Joseph Scrimshaw. Blue Sky in particular, it seems pretty nice right now. So if you're on Blue Sky, come find me over there. You can find out information on all the stuff I'm doing on my website at josephscrimshaw.com. The short horror film that I have been delighted to work on is going out into the world. The Nightmare Adorable. It is coming up. If you happen to be listening in Bulgaria, it's going to be in the It's Alive Festival in Bulgaria. And then in a couple weeks, the beginning of November, the Lovecraft Film Festival has a brand new edition in Mobile, Alabama, where it's going to be playing. And I will be down there in Mobile, Alabama as well. Nice. Final thing for me, I'm putting a thing out, much like Ken. I like that we announced something on this episode that we record a day early, thus forcing ourselves to get it done. Yep. In the time that we announced it. So I'm going to do the same thing. So for the short film, The Nightmare Adorable, all of the action is caused in a way by a short story by a fictional author. And as one of the Kickstarter rewards, I wrote the short story and recorded an audio version of it. And then I thought, hey, why not actually share the audio recording? So it is a cosmic horror story about 45 minutes long, called The Beast That Ate the Dawn. And it is a spooky story read / performed by myself. And I'm putting that up on my Bandcamp. You can just look on Bandcamp for Joseph Scrimshaw and it should pop right up.
That is wonderful. Bandcamp's been in the news lately because of a sale and all that good stuff. And it's frustrating, but it is a great way to support the artists you love who have things on there in terms of directly getting the content, purchasing the art, and we receive the support. It is a good system. I've finally, after all these years, taken the dive into it. Joseph, you've been doing it for years, and I really like it over there. But, consider supporting independent artists. Is all. Yep. All right, that's it. Let's go get some drinks. We'll see you next time here on OtherCenter.